So, just by way of introduction, Ted Volz, is that how you pronounce? Is that
You got it.
correct
Yeah, you got
pronunciation?
it.
Awesome. Founder and CEO of Clean Energy. Ted's background, as we already alluded to, he comes from the accounting world, having worked his entire professional career at PwC in a variety of director managing assurance roles, which was 16 and a half years. Graduated from Our Lady's University in Notre Dame in South Bend with his accounting degree, and now, as I mentioned, he is the founder and CEO of Clean Energy. But just curious, man, because that's a very similar path to how Aiden, who's our CEO and my co-founder, he was at Morgan Stanley, Lexington Partners, and IHS Markit, so had more of a banking background, Ted, but he had a vision and he wanted to chase his dream. I think it's very admirable taking a leap of faith, leaving from something that's so secure, especially from an income standpoint, and then going out and starting something on your own. So what drove that entrepreneurial itch for you, Ted, if you don't mind just kind of taking us down that path?
For sure. Yeah, thanks, Brendan. So, yeah, as you said, I worked in public accounting for 16 years and enjoyed my time, learned a lot, met a lot of great people, worked across Philly, Boston, and Detroit. But I had known for a long time that I wanted to do something on my own. And public accounting was a great place to learn and meet people and grow professionally. But for a long time, I had a desire to kind of start something on my own. And then as a recreational athlete and just trying to stay in shape, there was always, I thought, a need in the sports nutrition and healthy snacking space, which is just oversaturated with products that are full of added sugar and lab-created ingredients. So working in public accounting and not having a lot of time to devote to cooking and developing meals for myself, packaged food and sports nutrition were really helpful, but they never, I never felt good about them, and tried to stay away from them as much as possible. But in some sense, they were unavoidable. So I saw a need in the marketplace for clean label sports nutrition, and combined it with an interest to do something on my own. And so when the time was right, and with a couple other factors in play, I left in 2020.
That's awesome, man, and that's good to know. And I think that's going to help us lead us into our conversation on why clean energy. Why you thought that there was a sufficient path within name, image, and likeness. But I guess for the people listening, Ted, what is clean energy? How do you differentiate yourselves from other, as you mentioned, right, very concentrated and saturated food and beverage and health and nutrition space, right, that already exists? So how does clean energy stand out from the rest of the products in the space?
Yeah, so the concept is clean label sports nutrition. The brand is Clean Energy at cleansmoothie.com. Launched in September of 21, so just over a year old, approaching 2 years now. And I think we're doing something that nobody else is doing. Branded sports nutrition and healthy snacking that's truly clean label. So as I said, most of the sports nutrition out there, and packaged food even more broadly, is full of added sugar and lab-created ingredients. And there's growing health literature written by reputable medical professionals and health professionals that will tell you how bad that stuff is for your body in excess over time. So there's a clear inconsistency between athletes and people just trying to take care of their bodies consuming this stuff that is really not good for your body. I was actually just sitting in the office of a professor at the University of Michigan the other day, and she has her PhD.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a great school. Come on, Brandon. It's a good school. Although we can't cheer for them from a football perspective. I totally agree with you on that front.
It is an amazing university for sure.
Yeah. It's funny, as a side note, so our kids go to the Catholic school here in Ann Arbor, and Harbaugh's kids go there as well. And my wife went to Notre Dame as well. We're big Notre Dame football and all sports fans, and we have to constantly remind the kids because they see our big Notre Dame fandom. We have to remind them Michigan's a great school. It'd be okay to go to Michigan too. So that's a funny conversation around the house.
I think the coach of the Ravens, his daughter plays lacrosse at Notre Dame.
I'd heard that. Yeah, that's
So
cool.
it's funny, small world.
Yeah. So anyways, I was sitting in her office the other day, and she's devoted her professional life to researching and exploring the ill effects on our health of all of this lab-created stuff and added sugar that's rampant in packaged foods and sports nutrition. And this is like generally accepted science and academics, but it's not kind of the mainstream perspective, because the mainstream perspective is controlled by the big packaged food players and the big sports nutrition companies that are multi-billion-dollar companies, national conglomerates. So there's just not, I don't think, the awareness, and there's not the right products out there for athletes to have an option to consume clean label sports nutrition if they so choose, to want that. And I think there's going to be that desire over time. I think it's coming definitively. It's just a matter of how long it takes to get there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want to continue the conversation after we get off of here, but like I've become a recreational athlete myself now. And I just remember all of the products that we had in the locker room, and it was all, tons of added sugar, but there was obviously a need for certain products. We had sports nutritionists that were catered to us directly and obviously wanted the best for us. But I think a lot of the products, like you were mentioning, just aren't, organic and just clean label energy. And so, but now I'm, you sent me product, which I loved, and now I'm like running half marathons. And so I want to continue to keep clean energy with me on my running journey, which I never thought I'd be running to more than, a couple miles. Now I'm like a long distance runner, which is really weird. But so I guess to that point, why NIL, right? Why are college athletes compelling to you from a brand awareness standpoint? Versus, I think you still work with recreational athletes, right? Kind of just your normal everyday athlete, but why is NIL any different?
Yeah, so we work with athletes from high school to professional to recreational, all sports, gymnastics to softball to football, baseball, basketball, everything, endurance runners, MMA fighters. We think clean energy has use case beyond traditional sports and healthy snacking. So we work with all different types of athletes. To your question about why NIL and why collegiate athletes are particularly interesting to us, lots of reasons. One, they have great influence, right? They have great networks. They have reach to the older generation. They have reach to the younger generation. They're open-minded and willing to try new things, and can be extremely persuasive and influential to lots of different demographics and sports and geographies in a way that I think maybe no other generation can be.
Mm-hmm. I saw you guys did recently. I just was browsing, and you had a deal done with Damar Hamlin. Was that before? Or that was before the
Yeah, incident? So that is our biggest post that's out there to date with millions of views and likes and stuff, and it's wild how that transpired. His marketing team reached out to me, to Clean Energy, back in the fall, and this was before many people knew who Damar was. I think it was his first year starting, maybe his second year in the league. And I knew of him because being a big Notre Dame football fan and following recruiting and everything, I know Notre Dame recruited him, and I believe he's from Pittsburgh originally.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping he was going to end up at Notre Dame. He stayed at home for a reason I respect. I think he was, trying to stay close to family and support family and be near them, and stayed with Pittsburgh. But I recognized the name for that reason primarily. So had a
Yeah.
positive perspective of him. At that time when they reached out to me, we sent him some free product. He liked the product, so it was a natural fit. We signed with him back in the fall of last year, and then just as the timing worked out, he ended up posting like a week before he got injured.
Wow.
So it's a good story now, right? Because he's in a good spot and he's working on his
Yeah.
comeback, and he's done a lot of great things.
Right.
So great story now, and wild how the timing of that transpired for us.
Puts you in a good, yeah, brand wise, puts you in a good position, and just the way it happened,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Especially when people go visit his page, I'm sure you guys were probably one of the first posts, right, that people were seeing.
that's exactly right.
But that's cool. Yeah, no, obviously, seriously blessed that he's doing well today, obviously. And so, but you mentioned you guys were providing product to Damar, and then I do think that's the way you've been doing it through the MOGL platform, and you've been smart with, hey, test out the product, see if you like it first. If there's a natural alignment, then we'll proceed with a future agreement.
Yeah,
Has that been the structure of the campaigns that you've run on MOGL, and kind of what has worked for you and what necessarily hasn't, might not haven't worked for you?
yeah, you've got it totally right. So that's the process that we like to run, and I'm learning along the way here from a marketing perspective and working through NIL. So early on, and we didn't start until maybe last late summer, early fall, getting into the athlete influencer game and NIL space. But learned pretty early on that some athletes and influencers are just kind of looking for looking for money, and that's not to shame anybody or put anybody down for that, right? But what's best for our brand and what's best for the athletes that we want to endorse is to make sure they feel a genuine fit with the product. So what the process that we run through now is we send free for athletes that are interested in us and athletes that we have reciprocal interest in. We send free product to them, have them try it out, see if they like it, see if they feel there's a genuine fit. And then if there is, then we engage in a conversation about do we want to engage in a contract and have an NIL arrangement, or in the case of a professional athlete, have a pro contract. So that's kind of the process that we like to run, and we think that's the best for our brand, and to be honest, for the athletes as well, right? Because for athletes that are constantly posting, you want it to be a genuine, authentic experience on whatever they're posting.
Right. And how do you go about that, Ted? Like for the athletes, and making it where it's authentic and natural for them to be posting content. Like, what's the conversation look like there? And what advice, or what have you learned, I guess, having multiple conversations now? Because I think you're pretty unique in the way that you structure and operate the MOGL platform, and that you'll connect with an athlete and send the product and then create a new contract or job on the platform and hire athletes that way. So just curious how you've gone about making sure that the athletes were comfortable with what they were posting.
Yeah, and MOGL's been awesome. The platform is conducive to being able to engage and communicate with the athletes before, during, and after we engage in any contract. So that's been really helpful, to have the tools and process to run the process that we'd like to run through MOGL. What we do is, as I said, starting point, send them free product, have a conversation if they like the product about whether or not where they're comfortable posting, how they're comfortable posting. We provide some examples of kind of what we've done in the past with athletes and what has worked well. But another key element is the starting point is, do they like the product? Do they feel strongly about it? Could they genuinely promote clean energy? So once we get past that point, then it's, well, how do you want to promote it? Like, how do you use it? Where is it the best use case for you? Is it to and from sports?
Yeah.
Is it, before, during, and after a run or a lift? So we like to give them, with some parameters and some framework, as much, control over how and when and where they're posting, so that it's comfortable for them and it's a win for both us and the athlete.
Yeah. What's your KPI, Ted? Like, what metrics, or is it holistic in terms of like brand awareness? And because I think when you talk about our platform and what it helps brands do is really build brand awareness at scale, right? For products, especially products like yours. And so, was that kind of your mindset going into it, and how you've approached working with athletes and influencers, or is it more concrete than that?
No, you've got it right. It's brand awareness and brand exposure for us. And I'm sure more sophisticated outfits could probably and do a better job measuring how that brand awareness and brand exposure is being captured. I mean, we deal with some of the basics of how many people are seeing the post, how many people are liking it, how many people are commenting on it. So that's some of the KPIs that we consider, and some of the basic ones that probably most do. And then, as a small startup, we're always sensitive to cash and cash flow and revenue, sales, right? I mean, there's not many athletes that drive sales like right away, but Damar is a perfect example of one who did.
Yeah, it's tough.
So,
You can't always create stories
yeah, correct.
as powerful as that one. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
so has that been, I guess, the affiliate style or the affiliate structure? Have you deployed that with MOGL athletes, given them an affiliate link or a sales link?
We have
Or
not. No, we have not, because it's that delicate balance of trying to
be natural.
be natural, not have it come off as salesy, and again, like going back to kind of the key element is just creating brand awareness and brand exposure. So we want people to be aware of the brand. We want people to understand the brand and what we're doing, and then feel informed to make a decision at their own, time, place, and leisure to decide if they want to buy, when and where. So it's a delicate balance around like
Yeah.
Sales versus just brand exposure and brand awareness.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. I guess my last question for you, Ted, before I let you go, is what advice would you have for other CPG brands if they were interested in getting involved with influencers and specifically, the name, image, and likeness opportunity working with college athletes?
Well, I mean, it's an obvious one, but MOGL's been great for us, and totally appreciative of the partnership, that we've had with you guys. So, we can totally tout that as a platform that we recommend and has been useful for us. So that's one. I think what's been effective for us, and who knows, how this scales with others and fits with others, but working with all different types of athletes across all different types of sports and demographics and regions and brands and D1 to D3, I think that's important. I think that's good for brands. I think that's good for athletes. So that's definitely a recommendation, based on the experience that we've had, and certainly well facilitated by MOGL.
I didn't ask for that plug, but we really appreciate it. And that brings up one thing I forgot to mention, which was, one of our largest, publicity, not stunts, but what brought a lot of publicity to, our relationship and our partnership was the fact that you were the first to do a deal with the Division II athletic department wide school, right? And at Winona State, which is Division II, they're in Minnesota. And so, if you don't mind kind of briefing everyone on what that looked like and how that deal went.
Yeah, so we were able to send free product to them through your outreach to them, and I think it was at Rhodes College. So I think it was D3, if I remember
Rhodes, that's right.
correctly.
Sorry, yeah, Rhodes.
And so it was, through MOGL, we were able to provide them some free product. And through your training, through MOGL's training for your platform, they were able to work a bunch of NIL deals with athletes there, some of which we've continued on with a couple of softball athletes.
Awesome.
And so that's been great. That's been great to, reach, as I was mentioning before, like reach all different types of athletes, all different levels of athletics. And that's totally in line with what we're trying to do.
Great. First Division III wide, athletic department wide deal, which is great.
Yeah. And we're I'll do another quick plug as we're headed out, Brandon. We love to get in touch with athletic departments because so clean energy right now, I mean, that's a big part of our revenue stream is athletic departments. So we've got a number of D1 athletic department customers across Power 5 conferences. We have one NFL team customer that are recurring customers across multiple seasons now. So yeah, we love to work with athletes. We love to work with athletic departments, and that's a great opportunity for us.
Awesome. So as we continue to grow our university partnerships, then it sounds like we'll be bringing along clean energy with us.
Good for us.
Right on, Ted. Well, thanks so much again for joining. Hope everything goes well, and obviously wish for the best with clean energy, and that the MOGL platform and our athletes continue to provide you guys value and build your brand awareness.
Thanks, Brandon. Nice to connect.
Likewise.